and playing center, especially once I learned the offense. And you're right, it is based in coaching staff. And I think right now this staff definitely sees me as a tackle because of the athleticism. But on a personal standpoint, aspirations in the future and things like that, I do think I could be a great guard as well. It really just depends on whatever staff, whatever they need out of me. Um, I would say I think I would prefer tackle just because,
Mhm.
getting to handle edge rushers, having been an edge rusher my whole life, is something I really enjoy, kind of being on the other side of the chessboard. Um, but yeah,
Is
I
there
think
a big is there a big difference whether playing left side versus right side, or is that kind of overblown by some of the media, or is it that
well,
different, or is it just what you practice and what you get used to?
I mean, there's a really good quote by Josh Sitton, that switching sides on the O line is kind of like wiping your butt with the other hand. It just feels wrong, but in my opinion, I think it's something you can just get used to. I mean, obviously, and that gets drawn out the longer you've played a certain side, right? So I
Right.
started at right tackle when I switched in the fall. I ended up playing left tackle this spring, and now left tackle feels, at first left tackle felt like a stretch. Now it feels way more natural than right. So that being
Mhm.
said, if I was to switch back to the right side, I think it would be a brief period of uncomfortable, but then getting used to it, which they've actually had me working both sides. So I'm starting to get my right a little bit more natural. Uh, but yeah, I don't think it's necessarily, uh, it's not like, uh, I mean, even basketball now you can switch positions, positionless basketball, but it's not like playing a different position really.
Right.
Just getting your hips used to it and the flexibility there. But
Okay. So I think fans, looking in and really, we didn't know I'm sure the coaches didn't know what to expect. The players didn't know what to expect with the whole NIL rules and different things. What have you seen so far? You're only a couple years out of high school, but what uh, what do you think about the whole rule change, I guess?
well, that's a tough one. I think that it's something that should have probably happened a long time ago. Um, I think it would have been a little bit less of a, like right now you're seeing a huge explosion in NIL deals. It's like the Wild West. And the NCAA hasn't really been super clear on their policies with it. Um, so you're seeing, some guys are making almost seven figures, and I think that's great. Personally, everyone's thinking about the big seven-figure deals, but in my personal experience, I could see this helping a lot of smaller schools, smaller market athletes. For example, it's not Utah State, but back at Southwest Minnesota, there was a quarterback who Blake Gimble was, one of the best in school history. It's a small town, so everybody knew him. And he worked for a mattress store, and they wanted to put his face on their trucks and a billboard. And because he worked there, and they thought, oh, he's just an employee. Well, the NCAA said if that was going to happen, he would be ineligible. Well, I think of
Mm-hmm.
guys like that now, he could have been the king of Marshall. He could have been, providing for, his bills a little better. So, I see it really, really benefiting those smaller market guys, especially when scholarships aren't a full ride at that level. Um, but then even for the Mountain West, especially, I think it gives, from a conference standpoint, I think it's really good for these Group of Five conferences because you have some really high profile social media impact players on these teams. Well, when they're promoting themselves, they're also promoting the Mountain West, whether they're actively doing that or not. So, I think it
Right.
could be really good. Obviously, there's some issues like, Sylvan is a huge sports fan and, loves Group of Five. And he's a little concerned that, maybe guys will have a big year at a smaller market team and then they'll, transfer with the new transfer rule and go make seven figures somewhere else. Um, I could see that happening, but I could also see people being loyal and developing. Like, for example, in the Cache Valley, if you become a big name in the Cache Valley and you have a lot of businesses supporting you, it would be kind of difficult to walk away from those people that have been there to get you to where you are. So I really think it's going to depend on the person, but overall, I think it's definitely a net gain. I think the NCAA should have done it a long time ago.
Yeah, I agree with all of those points. I was a little bit concerned as well, kind of, I think everybody's concerned on the transfer rules and the NIL and different things. How is it going to affect my team, or how is it going to affect the Aggies? Or obviously, the players, or how is it going to affect me, myself? And the thing that I've seen just talking to players, recruits, I've been covering the Aggies for years now. I think the biggest difference and biggest change, and kind of the biggest positive that I've seen from it, is the purpose of being a student athlete, and the purpose of playing sports in life is to learn, right? And to become better and to improve. And I think this can help student athletes become business people and sell themselves to these brands and these companies and different things. And if you're the quarterback of Alabama, I think you're always going to have that 7-figure deal, or that 7-figure total compensation.
Right.
Moving forward, maybe that's just going to be the way it is. Like, hey, if you're the quarterback of Alabama, you're going to make a lot of money.
Right. That kid could have
just
been
guaranteed.
That kid could have been anybody,
Yeah.
You make that money.
So maybe that's just the way it's going to be. But for the majority of student athletes, the majority of guys playing college football, they're going to have to put in a little bit of work. Like, your example of the guy where, I mean, obviously you're not going to work at a mattress store necessarily, but if you go to a mattress store and say, hey, I'm going to bring this value, everybody knows me, my name's Chucky Keaton, and everybody, whatever the case may be, right? Chucky Keaton back in the day could have gone to a restaurant or a store and said, hey, I can bring this value. This is what I can do. This is what I'm willing to offer. And how much are you willing to pay me? Or this is how much I charge to do X, Y, Z, right? So the business of Chucky Keaton could have been great back in the day when he was a player. But, moving forward, there's going to be other Chucky Keatons. There's going to be other guys that, whether they are already or will be in the future, be able to be marketable. And it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens with it. But yeah, it's always interesting to get that perspective. I appreciate it, Calvin. You've been great. I think everybody's happy that you're here, adding some of that depth to the tackles on the offensive line. And anything else to add before we shut this down? I don't want to keep you for 2 hours or anything.
No, I really appreciate the opportunity to get on the show and talk. I'm definitely blessed to be here, and
Yeah.
things like being on this podcast are just, more signs that I made the right choice coming here. And, anytime I get a chance to talk highly of my teammates and the university and the program, it's a good opportunity. So definitely excited for fall camp. I think, it's an exciting opportunity that the O-line struggled with depth and struggled in general with play this last season. We can kind of only go up from there. And I expect us to be a great unit. So definitely excited for the season. And, again, really appreciate you having me on today.
Well, and I think everybody's excited. It's really, I mean, you weren't here for spring practice, but it seemed like the first spring practice and the first time the new staff started coaching the players. They almost were in shock, like, oh, wait, we can have fun. We can do this. We can do that. You're telling me, it's just, this is different. And so it was really interesting to watch, even in the spring game. They're celebrating in the end zone and all that kind of stuff. It just seems like there's so much more energy. There's so much more excitement, and hopefully fans are paying attention to that. I think a lot of fans are paying attention to it. but at the same time, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get the results on the field and to get the results, with obviously the boosters, the ticket sales, all that kind of stuff. But it's moving in the right direction, which is really exciting. We've kind of had some up and downs at Utah State over the last 10, 15 years or whatever you want to call it. And it just seems like there's so much momentum, even if Las Vegas doesn't set the win, expected win total at 9 or 10, that's fine. I think it's got to come somewhere. It's got to move in the right direction. It's got to start with that first game, and obviously every practice and so forth. It's just going to keep building. I'm convinced that if you put things in the right direction, you do things the right way, which I know the coaching staff is. I'm super impressed with how they're recruiting, how they're coaching, how they are as people. So I could go on, but just wanted to end that way. And it's really exciting to see, and really appreciate you coming on the podcast. We'll upload this, and you can share it on your social media, and check out Aggie Up on Twitter. That's kind of the easiest way to find the episodes and different things like that. And really will be, once I press, basically tomorrow morning, we'll publish the episode. It'll be on Apple Podcasts. It'll be on Spreaker. It'll be on iHeart app. It'll be on all the major, I can't even think of all the podcast apps right now. There's so many of them. So it'll be everywhere that you normally find podcasts. So that'll be exciting. I really appreciate your time, Calvin. Have a great night, and we'll be watching you for the next 3 years. You've got 3 years left to play, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Okay, thanks, man.
Yep. Take it easy.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.